Once upon a time, in the great town of Calabar, there lived a rich and powerful king named Ephraim. He was known for his love of beautiful women. Every time he heard about a girl who was especially pretty, he would send for her. If he liked her, he would make her one of his many wives. Since he was very wealthy, having made his fortune through trade, he could afford to pay any dowry the girl's family asked for. King Ephraim already had 250 wives, but he was never satisfied. He always wanted more, especially the most beautiful women in the land. One day, some of the king's friends told him about a girl named Adia. She was the daughter of a poor farmer who lived at the edge of the town. They said she was not only beautiful, but also kind, cheerful, and different from all the other women the king had married. Intrigued, the king sent for the girl's father. The old man came to the palace and bowed low before the king. King Ephraim said he wanted to marry his daughter. The farmer was nervous, but he agreed. He said, "Your Majesty, you may have my daughter, but I must tell you, she grew up very simple, helping in the farm. She has some strange habits from her village life. For example, she can't help picking up any grain she sees on the ground, like she used to do for the chickens when she was small." King Ephraim laughed. "I don't care what she does. I want her and I'll take care of her." So the king paid the dowry, 6 large barrels of palm oil, and Adia was brought to the palace. She was shy at first, but the king quickly fell in love with her. She made him laugh, told him stories, played music, and kept him happy. He soon stopped spending time with his other wives and stayed only with Adia. The other wives noticed this and were furious. They had always competed with each other for the king's attention, but now none of them had a chance. No matter how they dressed, danced, or cooked, the king ignored them all for Adia. Eventually, their jealousy brought them together. Even though they had never been friends, they held secret meetings and planned how to get rid of Adia. "She's just a poor farmer's daughter," one of them said. "The king only likes her because she's new and different. But if we can make her look foolish in public, he'll be embarrassed and send her away." Then one of the older wives remembered something. Didn't her father say she picks up grain from the ground? That's her habit, right? The others nodded eagerly. "Let's make a trap for her." They decided to embarrass Adia during the next big festival, when all the people from across the kingdom would come to visit the king. It was a grand event that happened 3 times a year. People would bring gifts like yams, goats, and new corn. In return, the king would host feasts, music, and dancing that lasted for days. On the morning of the festival, while everyone was gathered in the king's courtyard, one of the jealous wives told her servant to wash a bowl of fresh corn. "When the crowd is big, take this bowl and throw the corn on the ground, right in front of Adia," she whispered. "Then walk away like nothing happened." As planned, when all the chiefs, villagers, and traders were gathered and the king was sitting on his grand wooden throne, the servant came and threw the corn on the floor. Adia, standing nearby, saw the corn and, without thinking, walked over and started picking it up. The crowd gasped. Then people began laughing. Look at the king's favorite wife, picking corn off the ground like a beggar. The king's face turned red with shame. He was furious and humiliated in front of everyone. Even though he had been warned by the girl's father, he couldn't handle the public embarrassment. In his anger, he told his guards, "Pack up her things. Send her back to her father. I don't want to see her again." Adia was sent away, her eyes filled with tears. The king didn't even say goodbye. But that was not the end. That very night, one of the king's other wives, his third wife, who had secretly liked Adia and was not part of the plan, came to him in private. She told him everything. "My king, you were tricked," she said. The others were jealous and set her up. They planned everything, the corn, the timing, the crowd. King Ephraim sat in silence, his heart heavy with regret. He realized how foolish he had been. He called his guards and gave a new order. "Find the one who planned this, my head wife, and throw her out of the palace. She will leave with nothing, not even the clothes she came with." When she arrived at her parents' home, they refused to take her in. They had been proud that their daughter was married to the king and often received gifts from the palace. Now, with their daughter disgraced, they wanted nothing to do with her. Adia slept outside for 2 days before her father eventually allowed her in. Meanwhile, The king fell into deep sorrow. He missed Adia every day, and even though he tried to forget her, he couldn't. The joy she brought him was gone, and the palace felt empty without her. A year passed, and the king's heart never healed. One morning, the palace servants found him lying still in his bed, holding a small necklace that had once belonged to Adia. King Ephraim was dead. The whole kingdom mourned, and when the elders of the land gathered to discuss the matter, they made a new law. From this day forward, no one shall marry below their station without careful thought, and no woman should ever be sent away without a fair hearing. After Adia returned to her father's small hut at the edge of town, her heart was broken, but she did not complain. She quietly helped her father on the farm again, planting yams, tending the goats, and fetching water from the stream. Though she had once lived in a palace, she never acted proud or bitter. The other villagers, however, whispered behind her back. Some felt sorry for her, but others mocked her. "Look at her," they said. "She thought she was a queen, but she came back with nothing." But Adia remained kind. She shared food with hungry children. She cared for the sick. She taught the young girls songs and stories she had learned in the palace. Little by little, the villagers' laughter turned into respect. They began to see that Adia was not proud or foolish. She was strong and good-hearted. One day, while she was gathering firewood in the forest, Adia heard a strange sound. Following it, she found an old woman sitting under a tree, groaning in pain. Her leg was badly swollen, and she couldn't walk. Without hesitation, Adia tore apart her wrapper to make a bandage. She cleaned the woman's wound, gave her water from her gourd, and helped her lean against a tree. "Stay here, Mama," Adia said. "I will carry you to my father's house." The old woman smiled faintly. "No one has helped me in many years," she whispered. "You are kind, child. Because of this kindness, you will be blessed." Adia didn't think much of it. She carried the old woman home, and together with her father, they cared for her until she healed. But when the woman was well enough to leave, she revealed something surprising. She was not just an ordinary woman. She was a spirit in disguise, one who watched over the land. Before leaving, the old woman gave Adia a small, plain-looking calabash. "When you are in need," she said, "break this calabash and you will find what you seek." Then she vanished into thin air. Adia kept the calabash safely hidden in her room. She didn't know when she would ever need it. But life in the village grew harder. There was a drought, the crops failed, and many people grew hungry. Adia wished she could help. Finally, she remembered the calabash. She prayed quietly, then broke it open. To her amazement, out poured golden coins, jewels, and beautiful cloths. She quickly shared the riches with the whole village. No one went hungry that season, and everyone praised Adia for her generosity. News of the miracle spread far and wide, until it reached the ears of King Ephraim's brother, who had taken the throne after the king's death. Curious, he sent his messengers to learn the truth. When they saw how Adia had used the treasure not for herself, but for others, they returned and told the new king everything. The new king was impressed. "Such a woman deserves to be queen," he declared, "not for her beauty, but for her heart." And so he sent for Adia, not with orders, but with an invitation, to come to the palace as an honored guest. Adia was surprised when the royal messengers arrived at her father's home with the king's invitation. She hesitated at first. After all, she had once been sent away in shame. But her father encouraged her. "Go, my daughter," he said. "This time, you go as yourself, not as anyone's possession." So Adia dressed simple, wrapping herself in a clean cloth and wearing the same necklace she had worn the day she left the palace. She walked beside the messengers, her head held high, and entered the palace gates without fear. The new king, King Edom, welcomed her warmly. "I have heard of your kindness," he said. "You shared your treasure with the people when you could have kept it for yourself. Such a heart is rare." The courtiers, chiefs, and nobles gathered in the great hall. Many of them had laughed at Adia before, but now they bowed their heads in respect. The same women who once mocked her whispered among themselves in awe. King Edom continued, "Adia, I wish to make you my queen, not because of your beauty alone, but because you have shown wisdom, compassion, and humility. Will you accept?" Adia thought for a moment. Then she spoke softly. Your Majesty, I do not seek power or riches. But if I can help the people of this kingdom, if I can bring peace and care to this palace, then I will accept. There was great rejoicing. Drums were beaten, horns were blown, and dancers filled the courtyard. That very day, Adia was crowned queen, not just of the palace, but the people's hearts. Under her reign as queen, the kingdom flourished. She established schools for girls, built wells in poor villages, and created laws to protect the weak. Her kindness inspired even the proudest nobles to act with fairness. And though she now wore fine robes and sat beside the king, she never forgot where she came from. She often visited her father's farm, walking barefoot on the soil she had once worked with her hands. In time, songs were sung about her throughout Calabar, and her name was remembered for generations, not as a woman who once picked corn off the ground, but as a queen who lifted others up. And so, the poor man's daughter became the richest of all, not by wealth, but by the love and respect of her people.
Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this beautiful story, please drop a like on the video and leave a comment on your favorite part of the story, moral lessons, and so on your notification bell so that you can get notified anytime a new and interesting video is released. If you believe in second chances, if you believe scars can become symbols of strength, share this story. Let it reach someone who's still fighting their past. Subscribe to my channel, Folktales by Queen Mother, for more real African stories that inspire, transform, and live forever in your heart. Please be rest assured that if you support me by liking, commenting, and subscribing to my channel, you will always stay motivated. It has not been easy getting here, but I really appreciate all of you who always watch my videos to the end. It's a lot of hard work, days of sleepless nights before one of these videos you watch on this channel is produced. I am counting on your support always to take this channel to the top. Thank you once again for your unwavering love and support. God bless you all.